Hello. So you want to go to Hawaii, but where do you go and what do you do? This is going to be your Hawaii vacation guide since I recently had the pleasure of making a trip there. You might know that Hawaii has beaches, but the problem is that it's kind of all beaches. And then there's luau's and volcanoes. So how do you sort out how to plan out your Hawaii vacation? Well, here's what I'm going to talk about. First, I'm going to talk about a big Hawaiian surprise that I saw early on in the trip. And then we'll go about the island tour. I didn't get to see all 4 islands, but I saw 2 of them, and we'll talk about the other 2 as well. And then I'll talk a little bit about the food at the end, and then some final thoughts before we close out the video. Well, first of all, this is Hawaii. Or as the locals like to say, Hawaii. There are chickens here. And so a lot of Hawaii is surprisingly rural. Yes, Hawaii, the state, has freeways, but very few. It's going to be a lot of one-way roads as you want to travel around the island. And if you want to get that like urban density, it does, the state does have it, but it's kind of all here. It's kind of all around Honolulu, Pearl City, etc. So that's the area. Everything else in every other island is going to be surprisingly rural. And so if you want to get like this like urban shopping experience or whatever the case, this is not the trip for you. Hawaii does have a little bit about this, but not a lot. However, if you want to do an outdoor activity, anything with water, animals, or, hiking, then this is going to be the vacation to plan. So which island do you go to? And so right off the bat, Oahu is going to be the easy choice. Oahu is going to be the most popular choice. And that's for a reason. And that reason is going to be Waikiki. And so Waikiki is the south side of the island, and there's just a lot there that makes it very easy for a tourist, for a vacationer to have fun. There's a bunch of hotels, restaurants, shopping, amenities, so easy to get a surfboard, all that stuff. Waikiki has it all. And it even has more than all. So there's a zoo, and there's this like Diamond Head mountain right next to Waikiki. It's right here. It's like literally right next to it. And so if you want to get a hike, it's really easy to get a hike, not that far away from your hotel. So that's nice. Oahu also has other things to consider if you want to leave Waikiki. So there's a Disney resort. There's a Jurassic Park outdoor activity area. Museums, of course. There's a Dole Plantation. And so here, I actually had the pleasure of visiting the Dole Plantation. And it's fun. So there's like a pineapple maze. There's pineapple candy, pineapple ice cream, all that stuff. It's a lot of pineapple things, which is fun. Here I'm going to show a video of the train at Dole Plantation.
And now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride.
But if you want to try something else, there's also the Polynesian Culture Center on the north side of the island, and this was a really cool place to visit as well. Here at the conclusion of our day, we saw a luau. While the guests had a buffet meal, we were able to see a show. Separately, they do all the traditional Pacific Islander things. So they play with fire. You can do activities for yourself as well. So one of them will be spear throwing, and they have a bunch of other activities that you can actually engage in. Some other hunting related things. Some other games and things. There's actually like a little exhibits that you can go and see how the islanders lived, and so they'll explain what different artifacts do, which is really nice. We part of the Polynesian Culture Center is you can see somebody climb a coconut tree. That was fun. There's just a lot of fun things to do here. What else can you see in Oahu? Well, Oahu is full of mountains, and so if you want to do that, like I want to go on a hike, I want to go outdoors and stuff, there's plenty of that too. Case in point, check this out. Really beautiful. And Oahu has miles and miles of mountain. And so, again, Oahu is an easy choice if you want to make a trip to Hawaii. But what if you want to see volcanoes? Well, the state has some of those for you too. While we went to Oahu as our main island, we did take a day trip on the Hawaiian Airlines airline to the Big Island and went to go check out that mountain. And so this is what it looks like. Again, not very urban. But we did make our way to the Volcano National Park. It was really cool. And this is what the map looks like. And this is what the reality looks like. So it is, I consider it an active volcano. So it is, steaming. There is lava. Some of it you can actually feel and touch since they're literally right next to the side of the road. So here you can see a steam vent. And I got up in there and it was hot. But surprisingly, the volcano is also beautiful. There's a bunch of lush vegetation nearby. So this is what some of that vegetation looks like. And so you can see that there's trees. It's beautiful to hike around. To me, it was fascinating that you could see on both sides of the park, both wasteland from the lava, but also forest. Because I guess lava is very nutrient rich. There are many hiking trails around the park. And here we're about to see what one looks like. So there's a path down there that people can actually walk through. So that was nice. One of the other things that I enjoyed in our trip to the Volcano National Park was the lava tunnel. So here you can see us entering the lava tunnel. It's a short little walk, and it is well lit. When you visit Hawaii National Park, on the north side will be kind of the volcano, and then you'll get to the south side and you'll be like, well, what's this big giant road? And you might be tempted to just ignore it, but I'd actually recommend taking a look, because this is what you'll see. You'll actually see what happens after the lava cools, and so you'll see different lava flows, different rock formations and things, and then of course you do get to go all the way to the water, and you'll see what that looks like. This part of the park was very quiet. It was very peaceful. And on the south side of the park, you see that Hawaii is actually not all beaches technically, so this is a little bit of a rocky cliff. There's a significant elevation change as we've made it all the way down. And then you might be wondering, well, science, did you see lava? And the answer is, I did. But you couldn't drive to it because, again, this is a volcano. I think it's active enough, so it did mess up the road. So you have to kind of make a mile hike to get there. But I did that hike, and I did see lava, far away. And so this is, a little bit of red. Of course, you can't get super close. It's, super dangerous. The park staff will keep kind of safety first, right? And so again, here we're at the park. I'm going to try to zoom in on the lava that we saw that day. Apologies for the shaky zoom. This is just a Galaxy phone. Nothing super fancy. But I'd never seen a volcano before, so I thought it was really neat to see lava.
It was only a couple hundred feet deep. Bottom of the crater was a little over 3 months ago. Yeah, you guys want to see one of those stages down here on the volcano? You guys see the little white boxes down here on the floor of the volcano over there?
What else? So I mentioned that Oahu has a big urban center. The Big Island, is not as dense, which means there's not as many restaurants. We did get some chicken cuts and a salad, which were good, but I'm not going to say that, this was the most amazing meal I've ever had. More on the food later. Also on the Big Island, we went to the Panaewa Rainforest Zoo and Gardens. We got there just before it closed. They do have a tiger. They do have a peacock. And we were there. We saw the peacock just like flying around. So no big deal. And then on our way back to we flew out of Hilo. We were like, well, what's this? Wailuku River State Park. So we went there and we took a photo and we were like, oh, that's cool. It's just a nice waterfall there. Fortunately, my photo doesn't really add much to like the existing Google Maps photos. There's kind of a lookout for you to do that. But it was cool to kind of see that. And then on the north side, there is like a little water area for people to swim and play in. So there's just a picture of what that looks like where, some of it's kind of rocky, but some of it's still nice to be around. Other things that I did not personally see, but I would be interested in seeing next time is the Ice Age Natural Area Reserve, where you can see snow in Hawaii. And so there's like an observatory here, a great way to maybe see the Milky Way. And so this is something that I would have liked to see. The Black Sand Beach is something I would have liked to see. And so this would have been on the southwest side of the island, but I'm sure that there's probably more areas, different parts of it. On the other sides of the island, there are just like no other resorts and other things to see. And so this is Pu'aku, just like another part. I see the photo of a luau. So if you wanted to do your whole island experience, the Big Island has plenty for you to do. One of the things to keep in mind is just kind of like the sense of scale. And so this is the Big Island. And you see the scale, it's like 10 miles is like the scale. And then this is the same scale of another part of the country, St. Louis. And so you might be thinking like, oh, it's not that big. So crossing St. Louis might take, I don't know, an hour, right? But crossing the Big Island is probably going to take you closer to 2 or 3, just because if you notice, there's no freeways. A lot of those big roads that kind of cross the state are just one-way roads. So again, Hawaii is more rural than you would expect, and so it's going to have some consequences for trying to get about the island as well. What about Maui? Here, I did. Maui has a couple airports and a couple different things to see. You're probably going to fly into the center of the island. And you might be thinking, well, what about the airports on the left or the right? So this is, Southern Express Airlines 8-seater planes will fly to these parts of the island. So if you want to, probably you're going to fly to the middle of the island. Just some fun facts there. There's just more beaches and more resorts in Maui. So, there's like a luau on the left. Here's another resort in a different part of the town, different part of the island, excuse me. Of course, there's plenty of natural areas and mountains and things to hike around. So Maui has all of that as well. There is a volcano in Maui. This is, another way to kind of see like a different volcano go above the clouds. The sunsets and the sunrises here are very beautiful, so I've heard. And so this is something might be worth a visit. When you go to Maui, you're probably going to be on the west side of the island, and there is some, some different things to do, different places to eat and such. And one of the things that you might be tempted to do is this road to Hana. And so it's Hana's on the east side of the island. And so it's a very scenic, very beautiful drive. But again, it's one-way roads. And so apparently the locals get really mad when the tourists drive super slow. So keep that in mind. If you want to go to Hawaii, probably like the hardest vacation, Oahu is the easiest. It's probably going to be Kauai. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm not a local. Can't say it super thoroughly. And here's just a photo of like some of the restaurants in the island. It's just less populated. Kapa'a is the most populous city, and as you see from the picture, it's basically 2 streets for like 2 miles or like a mile. It's not a very big town. I mean, there are things to do, right? So there's like beaches and hotels and stores and all that stuff. But it's just going to be less, right? There's going to be less choices. There's going to be less opportunity to go, let's just try a different restaurant. Eventually you're going to run out of those in Kauai. But if you do go there, what you're probably going to see is Waimea Canyon. So they call this like the Grand Canyon of Pacific Ocean. I've heard it's really beautiful. In the Pokemon games, they do make an island that has a canyon as well. And so this is something that if you do go to the island, it's probably worth checking out. And then of course there's 1,000 outdoor things to do. There is a lot of beaches. There's kayaking, seeing the animals, horseback riding, trails and stuff. And so with a lot of like the green areas protected, is more things to explore. So worth checking out. Here's another town. Lots of waterfalls. The fact that Hawaii is very mountainous gives it a lot of fun things to see. What about Hawaiian food? We enjoyed what we ate. And so here we see like some poke meat, some poke salad on the left, and a lot of fruits. On the right, you see some sushi at a pretty good restaurant where we stayed. We enjoyed what we had. Definitely, if you go to Hawaii, you got to try the seafood. But a lot of the food is just good. And so here I just had like some eggs Benedict, and I forget what style it was. Just like a random restaurant in the middle of the city in Honolulu, and it was amazing. My wife had some pancakes with like the purple sweet potato. I don't know, and it was great. In the Polynesian Culture Center, they had a roast pig, in the buffet, and so you could just grab some pig. It was awesome. They had these pineapple drinks, like pina colada type things. Amazing. Hawaii has a lot of like barbecue, so this is like a barbecue chicken type of thing, sausage and things, and so that was something that was pretty heavily present in our what we could eat. We also went to a restaurant called Basalt. And so one of the dishes that's pretty common in the islands is called the haloko. So here I tried it. It's basically a hamburger patty with eggs and rice and stuff, and it's pretty tasty. Some barbecue sauce, I think. Really tasty. My wife had the the black pancakes. It was really, really great food. And then here's a nice restaurant called Roy's. My wife had a birthday, so we checked this place out for the birthday. So here's some photos of the Google Maps. Here's some photos of what we actually ate. So we just tried different types of fish. I think the butterfly fish is something that's more local to Hawaii, so definitely check that out. And we might be thinking, what about malasadas? When I watched the Pokemon TV show, the malasadas were all the thing, and then even in the games you can buy malasadas. So I looked for them, and this is what they're like a sugar, rice, cinnamon donut. I don't know. Like, they were good, but it's kind of like a donut, so I wasn't like hyper impressed. Again, it wasn't bad. It's just I wasn't like my favorite thing to try. Conclusion. If you want to see volcanoes, go to these islands. Conclusion. If you want to see the Milky Way. And so here I'll make a reference that in 1984, there was a blackout in LA. People called the police because they were like, the city's on fire. I see all this smoke. If you want to see that, where you think the sky's on fire, probably you're not going to want to go to Oahu. A lot of lights and stuff. All the other islands have great places for you to see the Milky Way. I want to go to a resort. Well, all the islands kind of have that. So here's Kauai, here's Oahu. Again, south side, north side have resorts. Here's Maui. The west side has a bunch. And then here's the Big Island. So there's some on the left and on the right. So plenty of resorts everywhere, all across all the islands of Hawaii. Well, what if I don't want to drive? Well, if you don't want to drive, you'll probably want to go to Oahu, just because, again, the state is very rural. And so if you want to get anywhere outside of your airport and maybe a quick taxi ride, you're probably going to need a car if you want to see a lot of a particular island. So if you don't want to do that, Oahu is probably going to be the safest place, where you can taxi to Waikiki, and then there's buses and stuff, so you can figure it out. I want to go to fine dining. I want to try a wide variety of food. Again, Oahu, because it's the most populous, will have the most options for you. And so this is my video. Thank you for watching. Again, we loved our trip to the state, and we highly recommend you do that when you just need a vacation, you need to get out of there. Great place to see a lot of nature. So check it out. Thank you for watching. This is Science Trainer.